Community Service Committee meeting is called to order. Ask Melvina to pray for us one more time.
Ora galandi hes sivujali heli gahanjis gitan hog. Nivna dejdosta heldi do hes ni hu deskiati ni do hes no leskin on he do hes do you danke. Father, again we thank you, Lord, for being with us throughout this day, and thank you, Lord, for your all your blessings that you bestowed on Turkey Nation. Lord, we just thank you for the leaders that we have, and we continue to help them throughout the years and to come for the betterment of Turkey Nation. Lord, be with us and guide us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Melvina. Gail, roll call, please. Well, nobody's late. Yeah. Yeah, we're all here.
Josh, Sam. God in love, you president. Sean Crandon.
Gail, I apologize. I thought you were sitting over there. Them boys will get you in trouble. Can we get a roll call, please? Thank you.
Darrell Legg,
Here.
Melvina Shop Pouch, Keith Austin, Danny Catalyson, Julia Coates, Sean Crittenden, Joe Deere, Mike Dobbins, Rex Jordan, Johnny Kidwell, Wes Snowfire, Dora Patskowski, Joshua Sam, Mike Shambaugh, E.O. Smith, Candessa Teehee, Victoria Vasquez. You have a quorum.
Thank you, Gail. If y'all have had a chance to review the minutes, can I get a motion? Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Reports. Jennifer Kirby, Human Services Department.
Good afternoon, Council. Happy spring break.
Yeah.
You have my report if you have any questions. I don't really have too many updates to report. The only thing that I will mention is that this has probably affected all of you at some point. You've had a question or asked or come upon an emergency situation, but we are currently hiring or conducting interviews for our homeless program. We've called it kind of a transitional living, transitioning people out of homelessness, and that will have staff to that program and a supervisor, so they will be completely dedicated to, I can provide you more information as probably next month, but right now we're working on the interviews and for those positions, but it will, not only, it'll affect Human Services, Housing Authority, Career Services, and other programs, but these staff will be completely dedicated to homeless citizens who are experiencing homelessness. So they'll be able to devote their entire time to those citizens going through that. So.
Wow. So working together with the three, like if they're unemployed, Career Services gets involved,
Mm-hmm.
The immediate need would be get them in somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Are we looking at a place that maybe has tiny homes, or are we looking at whatever rental properties are available in the town that they're homeless in? Or
Right.
how's this
right.
working?
It's going to be all of that. The staff are going to be responsible for finding resources,
Okay.
making those community connections, whether it be in the northern area or the southern area. Maybe some option is best for these citizens to relocate outside of an area that's already flooded with people who don't have a home or not able to live there. Maybe opportunities are better in other places. So that's what these staff are going to be doing. They're going to be finding those resources and devoting that time to making that experience better for our homeless citizens, because there is all types of different homelessness. You know, there's homeless that might be couch surfing, there's chronic homeless, and then there's those that have been displaced due to natural disaster or not being able to recover from a fire, something like that.
Yeah.
But we do need to spend and devote additional time to case manage those cases properly, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions? Doctor?
The program that you're talking about sounds really wonderful.
Yeah.
I know that this is a ever-increasing problem, especially with the housing challenges
Yes.
that we have here on the reservation and rising rental costs as
Yeah.
well. So I think this is just really an amazing development. I also wanted to inquire, is the One Fire Victim Services, is that under Human Services?
Yes, yes it
Okay.
is. Mhm.
Okay, and as I'm aware, they're also seeking, they have some job vacancies there as well? Okay,
Yeah, you know, the large majority of those, that program is grant funded. And so there are various grants under there, different positions, to different duties within those grants, different needs to be filled with each of those grants. So yeah, there are positions that, you know, probably some right now on the website that need to be filled. So, but yes, we will have more there as well, more
Yeah.
positions.
yeah, I know that oftentimes there are a lot of challenges with individuals who are leaving situations of domestic violence, and I assume that this transitional program will also be a benefit to those individuals as well, so.
Yes, yes, you know, a lot of times it's kind of like which situation, how did they get to being homeless, and then going back and accessing those resources that may be in addition to where now having staff devoted have the time to do that. So, so we can, like I said, give them proper attention
Yeah.
and lift them up out of that experience.
Yeah, I know oftentimes your staff can see people in really serious crisis situations and often encounter people on sometimes some of the worst days that they've experienced. And so I really am thankful to the work that Human Services does, and I appreciate everything you and your
Yeah.
staff do.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to, like I said, share more information as we start to interview and get those positions going, so that you can have access to all of that information. But it is in the works and moving pretty quickly, so.
Wonderful. Thank you for the time, Chair.
Councilman Smith?
Is there gonna be a special number to call?
Right now, yeah, I mean, we'll have a number for that program as soon as we get the staff in place to answer those calls. Right now, the homeless, those experiencing homelessness come through family assistance, which is, 918-453-5422 is the main number there, and then it gets routed to wherever it needs to go, or whatever program it needs to go to. But yeah, there will be a specific contact information on that.
How many you think will be on that staff?
There's planned to be like an educator who's going to be like a life skills educator, or someone who kind of does some of the basics, maybe cooking, maybe some of them doing cooking, budgeting. And then I believe there's going to be 7 or 8 other case managers. So we're going to situate them throughout the reservation, and I believe 7 or 8, I'll have to double check that, plus an educator, so.
Quite a bit. I've noticed that this, like our little small towns now, there's so many
Yes.
homeless people there that's,
Yes.
never thought I'd see that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Councilman Austin?
Do you already have an idea of how many people we have that need this service, the census, or is that something we will, just tell me how you're approaching that. How do we know how many people might potentially be serving?
So a lot of the problem with homeless counts is they usually do them at a point in time count. And so, I think our homeless within the rural areas might be a little bit more resourceful, as in they might be couch surfing and things like that. I would say we could probably get, and this is just a rough, like 50 to 60 a month. Is probably about what we see that we, physically are able to come into the office, and we try to provide some resources, again, not fully being able to case manage it like we need to, but I would say anywhere around 50 to 60 a month. Now, that could increase or decrease depending on, we'll have a case plan for them and action steps, but holding them by the hand as we do this. And so if they want to partake in the program, they'll in reservation, there'll be offices that they can go to or ways for them to connect with us. And that's what the staff will be doing.
I know that oftentimes people will have potential benefits that they've not been able to tap into
Right.
for whatever reason.
Right.
I'm assuming that effort to sit down with them and counsel
Mm-hmm.
them and then work through those issues to get them their potential veterans benefits or
Yes.
insurance, health insurance benefits and different things that they may not have taken advantage of and not know how to take advantage of. We will coach through those things.
Yes, and transportation is going to be a big issue. That's starting out. That's what the case managers are going to do. Maybe those that are situated in the northern area might not have a larger caseload starting out, so they're going to come down and pitch in and help people in the southern area, or vice versa. We're going to cover it, but disability is one that people. It's an intimidating process to people, but they may very well need disability benefits, so we're going to walk them through that process.
Well, I know in Claremore, there's various services available, and I'm sure you'll be working in partnership with the things that are already in communities, like
Oh, yeah.
in Tulsa, you've got a huge portion of Tulsa that is within the Cherokee Nation.
Yes.
And I'm sure you'll be working with existing services as well, correct?
Right, and that's what every one of these staff members are going to do, is they're going to learn these resources. They're going to be in the community finding all of these, and they may know a lot of themselves, just not had an opportunity to exercise those with a specific person. But I have very high hopes that, this will be integrated into everything that we do, and we can only continue to grow to impact this special population, so. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Condesa.
I'm sorry, I should have asked this question with the time I had a moment ago, but do we foresee a day where our citizens might be able to use the Gadugi portal to apply for other human services programs, like
Yes.
family assistance and things like that?
Yes, we are in active talks with IT, with Paula and her team, and have a list of priorities. I think our first thing to start to try to integrate is LIHEAP. So we have enough time, as that comes out in the fall, we'll have enough time to kind of fine tune that process, but that's where we're starting. We're starting to add these priorities, and we speak to them probably either once a month or every other month,
Okay.
to start integrating these different programs. And there's been others, like food distribution, that have been lifted up as maybe adding that application. So we hear that those concerns, and we're working on them.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And then this this could just be something that I would find useful. I'm not sure how other counselors might feel about this, but there are times, and this hasn't occurred with human services. I want to be clear about that, where referring citizen issues, as we're doing citizen advocacy, There are times when I grow concerned that an email is going to kind of get lost in the shuffle of an individual's email. Just because, I know that some of the executive directors get hundreds of emails every single day. So would it at some point be possible to also have counselor access to some function on the Gadugi portal where we could actually put citizen issues in there? So we might actually be able to kind of see trends where things are happening or where there's additional need in various areas. I know that sort of touches on your area, but it also, I know, is a little bit more expansive.
Well, I will say, I don't want to speak for Paula and her team, but that has been discussed. And also, I think for tracking, that would be very beneficial for you and for me and our teams on that side, tracking and making sure we didn't lose them. But I will say that has been lifted up, and that has been a discussion between Paula's team and myself. So.
Yeah, I find that thought very interesting, largely because, we represent all facets of the Cherokee Nation, both in reservation and off reservation. So if there are several of us that are kind of bringing forth the same concerns, it may highlight certain needs within Cherokee Nation. So I'm glad that's being discussed.
Yeah, because that's our biggest concern. Nobody wants to wake up at 5 a.m. on a Saturday morning and, I forgot this, or I saw this and I was going to do something about that.
Yeah.
That happens to all of us. Or, 3 o'clock in the morning and you remember that something might have gotten lost or not handled, before you went to sleep that night or something. So I think that's definitely in the works.
Okay, well, thank you for entertaining my questions. I really appreciate it. And thank you for the additional time, Chair.
Is this is this a brand-new budget, and is it federal or tribal funds that we're going to be using for this?
It is ARPA.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's
So yes and yes.
What's the longevity of this? Like, are we going to do this for the next year, and then when ARPA leaves, we're not going to have it, or do we know?
So December of '24, to my best recollection, is the end date. However, as I said earlier, I'm a very optimistic person, and I'm very hopeful that we're going to do great things and collect really good, helpful information that we're going to integrate this into what we do.
I would make a suggestion, and if it's allowable, that we could build new structures out of ARPA funds. And Danny, I'm sorry, but I would get them close to the industrial park at Pryor where these folks can get actual good paying jobs if we have property over there. And I'm not saying 100 of them. I'm saying 4 or 5 good modular units where if they had to walk to work, they're there. If they needed to shuttle one of our closest offices, and this is just a suggestion, if they were willing to relocate, and we could get them close to where, a multitude of different jobs are.
Right.
And I'm not talking about mentally ill or the folks that are dislocated because they're drug addicts and needing treatment, but able-bodied people that are willing to actually do a change. If that's something we could look into, I think that'd be great. Councilman Sam.
I know we've had quite a bit of calls here lately. I know people being either evicted because of rising rent costs and numerous issues there. I know in Stillwell alone or Adair County, there's not a place to rent. There's not any of the apartments. They're all full everywhere. So I know, like Councilman Lake said, we do need some type of transitional living facilities built. But at the same time, I know we have a lot of pressure for people to use hotel. Is there some changes there for what's available hotel-wise? I know we do have to kind of walk that line on those that abuse the system there. But I know here lately, I've had some that said they weren't able to get a hotel room for a couple of nights. I know, because like I said, there's really nowhere in Stillwell right now to rent or anything available to them, so.
There's a lot of factors that come into play, and of course, we don't discuss the details behind someone's case to another person if they feel like this person got this or that. We don't share those details, and there's a lot of things that we look at when we temporarily place someone somewhere, and transportation to a shelter is a lot of times maybe the best option for them if they just need to get on their feet temporarily and we work with them. So, yeah, there's definite guidelines in that, but that was the whole point of having these dedicated staff is to, if you know anything about case management or ever even had to yourself, manage your own cases, you have to continuously follow up. You have to continuously have accountability. And once we can document those steps and be those reminders all the time, then I think that will lead us to better success and utilizing all the different resources that we have available to us.
And
So.
your staff has been amazing, honestly. I mean,
Yeah.
anytime we have something come up, you are quick to answer and kind of give us feedback what's going on. And
Yeah.
and I can't say enough about your staff and you. Like I say, y'all been doing great work, and right now we're just kind of a max out point where we do, as a nation, we start looking at transitional living. And I know me and Sean's talked about it before, where it's maybe just a little studio apartment, has a bathroom and a bed for them. Because a lot of times, I mean, it's just a single person. They don't have anywhere to go. No one wants them on their couch or
Yeah.
something like that. But we do have to start looking at, in the long run, how do we start housing
Yeah.
some families that just have nowhere to go?
Yeah.
Sean?
Just real quick, just want to say good job on coming up with this need, because we've talked a lot about this issue, and it's almost.
It wasn't just me. I mean, it was a lot of people a lot of
Yeah.
different programs affected that maybe needed a way to
Great
help
idea.
someone. Yeah.
To get them in the office, hey,
Mm-hmm.
you need this kind of help, job, even health aspect, probably
Mm-hmm.
housing.
Yeah.
What a way to get a handle on it,
Mm-hmm.
because everybody in this complex, I would say, are concerned about those people's lives
Mm-hmm.
and how they're living, how they're eating,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody's concerned about those people. Now, you guys have to, I can imagine you're gonna have to define what
Mm-hmm.
a homeless person is, and that's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
A criteria for who's homeless.
Yeah.
Because there's legitimate needs that we work every day for,
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna continue doing that. And then, of course, there's always those people like me, that, hey, I'm homeless. No, I just need to go get Paul Critton and a sack of potatoes and, ask him to let me stay a little while longer.
Yeah.
But, we gotta have some kind of criteria, because it was almost getting out of hand, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Of the folks that you guys see, but what a great thing. Get them in the office
Mm-hmm.
and help them. And it makes our department sustainable and helps people. So, great work.
Well, and I think even more so that it left us feeling like we weren't being able to do enough.
Yeah.
So it's not that, we don't want to, we didn't want to. It's like, we just know we're not doing enough, and that's not a good feeling as someone who is investing time and walking alongside with that citizen. That's not a good feeling when you go home at night, that you couldn't do enough. So hopefully, this is a good start of
Good work.
doing enough, so.
Thank you, Chair.
Anyone else? Jennifer, thank you.
Sorry, thank you, I
This
didn't
is
intend on taking
huge
up the
undertaking,
biggest
Jennifer.
time, so
Huge
thank you.
undertaking.
Thank you.
Next, we have Michael Lynn.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, council. You have a copy of our report in your packet, but I do want to highlight a few things. On the water and sanitation side, we received funds, about $3.3 million, almost $3.4 million for 5 IHS projects. One in Cherry Tree, one is what we call scattered housing project, one around Chelsea, Adair County Rural Water 2, and also Southern Delaware County Rural Water Association. You'll see those highlighted in the report. On the transportation side, I wanted to mention some grants that we recently submitted for. We just, a week or two ago, we submitted for something called a FY23 RAISE grant, as Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity. We applied for a planning grant with those funds for a project that we're looking at, going to be studying if we're lucky enough to receive the funding, a bridge across Willis Road to the east. So if you think about Tahlequah, you've got access to the Welling community on the south end by 10 Killer School in that area, and you've got access on the north end by Briggs. But there's nothing in the middle, nothing at all. And in putting together this grant, we looked at a lot of different criteria. But just looking from, as far as emergency personnel, from the Cherokee Nation EMS from their front door to where the proposed bridge would tie into Welling Road, if they went around to Briggs and back down to the point where it would tie in, it's about 11.5 miles around, or one way. If they went to 10 Killer School and back around to the same location, it'd be about 22 miles. If we can get this bridge in place, it cuts it down to about 5.5 miles. So you can imagine the response time to that community over there. We got a lot of that data from our EMS division, so I appreciate them helping us on that. Secondly, we also applied just last Friday, actually, for an AOPP grant, Areas of Persistent Poverty Program. Those are going to be funds that we're going to be using, again, if we're successful, to update our long-range transit plan. And then speaking of transit, we did receive, beginning last week, and we've still got one remaining that will be here, 7 new transit vehicles. Those transit vehicles will be starting what we call a rural on-demand areas. And those areas right now are going to serve Jay, Nowata, rural Cherokee County, and rural Sequoyah County. And that's once the equipment is all in place, they'll be able to schedule rides from their phone, similar to an Uber or a Lyft, if you've ever done that. We believe that'll will help our citizens out tremendously. They'll still also be able to schedule through dispatch and the traditional ways, but it'll also open up a new avenue for them. The 3 remaining vehicles will go to Stillwell, Salina, and Pryor to replace those vehicles. Then lastly, Mr. Chair, I'd like to mention another grant award. We were successful in receiving it was late early in 23, but a late submittal in 22, a Tribal Transportation Program Safety Fund Award. Those are the same dollars that we have received in the past, same dollars that we used to put the light in at Sequoyah High School many years ago. We received this $200,000, and we're going to be studying the intersection at Grandview Road and the Highway 51 spur just west of town here. So a lot of accidents there, access to one of the largest dependent school systems, Grandview school system, and so a lot of traffic in and out of there, similar to the Sequoyah High School intersection. A lot of vehicles with young children in it I think we saw an accident just last week there. It was of an evening, but an accident at that very intersection. So, Mr. Chair, that is all I have to report. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Michael. Anybody got any questions for Michael? All right, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you're doing, buddy. Next, we have Housing Services, Todd Enlow.
Good afternoon, Council. Getting some stuff set up there. But you have our report. A couple of highlights I would like to point out is we've been working and meeting over the last several months, made a couple of big announcements. One was the groundbreaking here for Tahlequah. And we also broke ground on 6 units in Locust Grove. And then we also broke ground on 6 units for elder rental housing in Stillwell. The units in Locust Grove are proceeding. They've got pads formed, and they're starting to actually pour concrete on 1 or 2 of those. And then they started working the pads for the site in Stillwell. So progress is moving along on those sites. We'll see major developments starting next week on the Tahlequah property. We're working on several other developments in Stillwell, in Jay, in Collinsville, Muskogee. I'm going to forget Salisaw. So we've got quite a few others that are in the works. We also have, in the next couple of weeks, we'll have some big announcements and some of our initiatives. I'll just tease it to say Our goal is within the next 12 months that we're going to touch 1,000 houses related to rehab. And so we've got to get several people, resources, and systems in place to be able to do that, and we're already on our way to be able to do that. And so hopefully you'll get to see some pretty impressive work that's going to make a lot of citizens happy and make sure they're safe and stable. Any questions for our report?
Any questions for Todd? All right.
Okay. If I may, I would like, trying to do that without glasses, and that's pretty hard. Give you a brief overview on where we are with Housing Job Sustainable Communities Act. And this is related to fiscal year 2022, so ending in September. This information was prepared in partnership between the Housing Authority, CCO, and Speaker Services. And so I've got Howard here to talk a little bit about Speaker Services. So legislative history, you're all well aware of. In October of 2019, this body passed the Housing Job Sustainable Communities Act. $22.5 million went to the Housing Authority, $7.5 million went to CCO. That money was generated from dividends from Cherokee Nation businesses. In April of '22, you also passed the Reauthorization Act of $120 million, funded mostly from ARPA, and that is the breakdown there on that screen on how that money was allocated for each of those projects. So, housing, rehab, and replacement homes, okay? So rehab, we have 97 homes that have been completed for rehab and 185 that are currently under contract.
Is this for the year 2022?
That's through 2022.
Okay.
Yep. Replacement homes, they've had 7 completed and 54 were under contract. So that's, again, end of September. So there's a lot of movement that's happened since then, but this is closing out the fiscal year. So there's $20 million allocated to that bucket. So this is an example of some of the homes. What before is on the left, and the after is on the right. Here's another home, a little shotgun-style house. And then that one's actually almost a gutted-out trailer home, now a stick-built 3-bedroom or 2-bedroom house on that one, I believe. This one, another trailer house that was replaced with a stick-built home. So that's rehab and replacement homes. There was another $4 million allocated for emergency rehabilitation. 31 of those are on privately owned homes. These are completed jobs. 215 are housing management, meaning if you're doing a lease to own, that's under housing management. So if there are repairs needed on those homes, that's been our breakdown through the end of 2022. New construction, and this is applicants with land. There's $30 million in that. The applicants broken down, 78 from Adair County, 100 from Cherokee, 23 from Craig, 85 in Delaware, 3 in McIntosh, 45 in Mays, 33 in Muskogee, 10 in Nowata, 9 in Ottawa, 20 in Rogers, 59 in Sequoia, 11 in Tulsa, 8 in Wagner, and 9 in Washington. So there's 493 total applicants. New construction, applicants with land. So this pie chart is a little difficult to read, but the fair majority of those are processing at the end of 2022. Only 1% of those were actively in construction at that point in time. We are working with our contractors to move as many of those along as we can. The challenge is going to be, materials access to contractors that can do the work, and then sometimes just physical location of where the property is and difficult to get to.
What's the affordability?
That is where they are going back through, working with individuals that have applied to make sure that they can sustain home ownership and making sure we're not setting them up to fail in a situation where we don't want to build a house and then turn around and take it. We want to make sure that they're safe and stable and can afford that payment. That's a map that shows roughly where everybody is, that same information that I portrayed earlier. These are new construction sites for housing developments. I talked earlier about Tahlequah, that's the one on Cedar and Allen. We're also working on one in Stillwell, which we'll be having announcements about fairly soon. We've identified a piece of property in Catoosa, and we're working on that one. Claremore Grove, J, we've got property set aside for that. Locust Grove, Muldrow, we're looking at acquiring a piece of property there. Muskogee has land. Owasso, the land that we had there is not going to work out for construction, so we're looking for an alternative in the Owasso area. Pryor, we have some leads there. Roland, we're looking for land in Salisaw. We actually have land for us to develop there. These are new construction applicants without land. So of those buckets, $5 million was allocated for land acquisition. The property at Cedar and Allen, that total property of 23 acres, which yields officially 51 lots. 48 will be held for construction. We'll have 2 for retention ponds and 1 for a park. So we'll be building 24 homes on that in the first phase, and costs on that was $533,000 total. Rental projects, we're doing Birdtail, those 16 units. It's under construction now. Stillwell, we just broke ground on that. Locust Grove, same thing there. We broke ground on that recently. Hope to be completed with both of those projects by the end of the year. Marble City, we're looking to acquire some property there to create 3 one-bedroom elderly units. Salisaw, we're planning to build 8 duplexes or 16 total units. In South Coffeyville, we're working on plans there in Oshaleta, and Oshaleta is misspelled. I just now saw that. So that's $4 million worth of allocation associated with that. So the picture there is actually the plans for Stillwell. I'm going to skip over, this is CCO. I'm going to skip through that since Kevin's not here. And then I would like to invite, you heard a little bit from Howard and some of the incredible work that Speaker Services has done, but I'd like to invite Howard up to join me. When I talked to Howard about this, I told him that this is about us working together collectively as a group, just like Jennifer alluded to with some of the homeless programs that they're working on. It's ultimately about it. We all have to work together. And we have all got resources, talents, and knowledge that we bring to the table. And so Speaker Services has done an amazing job to help out on the housing relief efforts. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
I want to give the floor to Ms. Coates.
Thank you for letting me jump in here before you move on. You skipped over a slide real quickly here, right before this one on utility savings, I think it said, or something like that.
Yes.
And this was actually, I was looking on my phone here to look this up quickly because there are some things under the Inflation Reduction Act, right? Rebates and things like that for individual homeowners. Are there ways that those individual people who are going to be who are going to own these homes can claim those rebates, or can we claim them on the rental units? Because it's all about energy efficiency. And so I'm just wondering how we're taking advantage of that.
That particular slide was actually related to CCO because a lot of their efforts was, but I'll try to address that question. But that slide in particular was addressing CCO because they did a lot of, or have completed a lot of retrofits for solar panels and looking at alternative resources for power. But that is, your question is exactly what we hope to do, is providing them opportunities. You know, one of these days, I'd like to try a couple of pilot projects of putting some solar panels on a couple of our homes, as well as some wind energy. I know it's going to be a little limited on harvesting the wind in some of our areas, but I think both of those would be advantageous to look at. And so we're working on trying to put together a list of our utility companies and looking at where we're building homes and ways that we can try to tap into those benefits.
Because a lot of this is about heat pumps on water heaters and on AC units and things like that. And it seems like those kinds of things, which go in right at the ground, you know, at the ground level of construction, could be.
In some areas, we're able to do heat pumps, and then just to be perfectly honest, without forced truckloads of dynamite, it would be very difficult for us to do heat pumps in some of our areas. But some of them would actually lend themselves. And so, to your point, doing a subdivision like that, we have the possibility to open up that. The other thing I would love to look at doing one of these days is creating a solar field, so that we're not just putting individual solar panels on roofs, we're actually creating an array that can actually feed power to that housing addition. Okay. Get you back there.
Still to God. I was so impressed with Mr. Enlow and what he does, and some of the things that we've done that we beat our chest a little bit about was a lot had to do with him. A few years back, staying late with us. I don't know how many times I've looked around and said, "Hey, it's 7 o'clock, you know. Lori may want you home, you know. Alicia may want me home, so let's head out the door." But he's a hard worker, and it's good to be partners with him and Jerry Killer and also our good friend back here, Jennifer. She will answer a phone call, you know, at 9 o'clock on Saturday, and help us with a speaker that's having a problem. So by no means this is anything that is anything we do by ourselves. I will, before I get into the numbers here, if you go to archaeologists, you want to look at when civilization began, when we started, you know, being civilized or that sort of thing. You'll want to go to a pyramid. You want to, you know, these different thoughts in your mind. But if you really follow what archaeologists do when they determine when human beings started becoming civilized, it was by a broken femur bone that they found, because they knew that somebody had to nurse that person back to health, right? It wasn't a pyramid. All the things that, you know, these fancy buildings, it was because somebody broke their leg and somebody set that for them and nursed that person back to health. And that's what I think it means when it comes to being a nikatu walk. Geli na awohiu unetanahi uwohlana uwet dikono dusk doka hinana dejda ge usesti dejda kliya sesti dejda lowo desti uskedi dejda ila sesti doka hitnana yonektana dejda gaius esti is to be stingy of one another's existence. Ale na dejla wote esti yonektanana to find something to like about one another, find something to love about one another. Dejda klias esti yonektanana to hold on to one another, never let go. Uskedi dejda yilas esti to treat one another sacred. Ageli na duyukta dikonodas na unetana uwoklan. We believe that God made them for Cherokee people. And if to hold on to one another, treat one another sacred, that's what I think this group is doing. Is they say that word to struggle to hold on to one another. It's literally to wrestle, to fight, to hold on to one another. And some of the things that we're going to be doing with drug rehabilitation, some of the things that we struggle to hold on to them. We struggle to hold on to one another.
Mm-hmm.
We fight to hold on to one another. And that's what it means to be Cherokee. And so this body, chief, deputy chief, and there's 100 names that go along with you guys, has stood beside us of uskedi dejda yila sesti, to treat one another sacred. You guys said it was fine that we were supposed to treat speakers sacred. And that's what you guys have allowed us to do. And you're doing it yourself. And so I want to give a thanks to you for that. 2022, I figured out that, Mr. Enlow, you looked at 2022 as maybe the December 30th, and I think we've looked at it as the fiscal year. So I've got a little bit of a bleed over, but the physical year, September 30th, Speaker Services replaced 80 roofs, did 74 walk-in showers, 28 electrical issues, 60 HVACs, 40 septic, removed 3 trees, pest control, like if it has to do with bed bugs, that sort of thing, 9. Foundation repairs, 2 new homes, 30 dryers, 28 washers, 35 roofs, 35 stoves, 56 refrigerators, 70 hot water heaters, 25 AC units, cabinets, 10 toilets. After 2000, in October 1 until now, which I don't think is on your slide, but I'm going to say a little bit about it. We've done 102 roofs, 81 plumbing repairs. A lot of them was walk-in showers. Electrical issues, which was some of them even had to do with changing out and putting some heat sources besides wood. 56 HVAC units, 8 septic issues, 8 tree removers, 2 pest control problems, 50 wood stoves, 113 dryers, 104 washers, 146 stoves, 94 refrigerators, 20 AC units. And so, Counselor, you asked earlier of what all has happened here. And so I see everybody here. I'm very thankful. I'm thankful for our treasurer. She has went above and beyond to help us. And there's a little lady in there that's called Shelley McLean. Man, she can move mountains, and she's done it for us over and over and over. So I'm thankful to report to you guys, and have any questions, I can answer them as well.
Are we having any issues still with getting contractors to bid on our rehab?
Always.
Yes, but working in earnest, one of the things that we're looking at doing is trying to divide up our work. So, for example, roofing contractors, we have more roofing contractors in our Taylor list than any other skill or trade.
Okay.
And so we're trying to look at ways that we can split out that work and try and attract others, keep the dollars flowing. And so if we don't have the right general contractor that can go into the house, then what work can we divide up and get it directly to the sub, or somebody can complete the work?
Okay.
But we're also trying to, Career Service has done quite a few vendor fairs. And so we are trying to actively recruit and get with those contractors. We're, through the assistance of Commerce and Career Services, we're trying to find ways to remove impediments for contractors. Sometimes paperwork can be kind of scary and just too much. They don't have time to mess with it. So we're trying to find opportunities to assist them and remove all the impediments and give those contractors that may not bid on our federal dollar work, opportunities to get out in the community and serve citizens.
Any questions?
And to be quite frank, we were always pushing for elders and speakers and that sort of stuff. Them contractors, they're part of us too.
Yeah.
They're sacred too. And so if we can think in their best interest as well, they'll be able to help us more. There's kind of been a philosophy that contractors try to get the best or whatever, this back and forth. We can reduce that and say we're all Cholak.
Yeah.
This is your problem too. I think that will, when we team up, well, we're all teaming up. If we do this, we're supposed to team up and work on things together. And so that's what we're trying to do.
Appreciate you. Any questions?
Sorry for that lengthy report.
No,
but
no, no, no.
That was a
we wanna
requirement
hear
under
it.
law, so I want to
Yeah.
make sure we got that to you so you guys could see what was going on. And I want to thank Chief and Deputy for working on that, and thank you as a council, obviously, for giving us the opportunity to go out and touch more homes than what we've ever had the opportunity to do before. So
How are we taught on possibly paying for the workman's comp insurance for some of our smaller companies, and maybe allowing them to say, hey, if we're going to do this, we need you to complete 10 projects as a payback?
We're looking at a couple of alternatives. I've had a couple of conversations with insurance carriers to see what our options might be for project-based
Yeah.
bonding and coverage, to make sure that if anything does happen, they've got some coverage, we've got some coverage, the homeowner has coverage. So don't have a good answer just yet, but
Okay.
we're exploring that and working with not only resources between Cherokee Nation businesses and Cherokee Nation, but also some of our Taro insurance agents as well.
Good. Thank you.
Yep.
EO.
The biggest surprise to me on this report was we only sprayed for 9 houses for bugs
Through Speaker Services.
through Speaker Service.
Now, Housing Authority does a lot. I couldn't tell you how many, but it's a
But
ton.
are the
Jennifer
speakers
does
more
too.
reluctant to ask for help to get sprayed?
And Mr. EO, boy, it's hard for me to call you EO. You're junior to me, but Counselor, there was a lot of times there that Housing Authority came in and fixed issues for us that is in their overall report that was speakers, but we worked through Housing Authority. Now, sometimes they was backed up, and we said, okay, they're backed up, and we had that call with Ms. Killer and say, okay, we've got this going on. We just coordinated, and so them 9 that you've seen, a lot of them was like bed bugs and that sort of thing, is where Speaker Services went in, and because they was busy on some other project. Does that make sense? So there's a lot more that had to do with that than just that.
Because I bet the elders are more reluctant to ask than the
There
other
is
people.
a reluctance, and sometimes, well, you guys know that we're not trying to get them to sit and ask. We're trying to be in the community and walk in and say, okay, there's a problem here, we need to help you, type thing. So we're flipping that around a little bit. But when we found them, we would help them the best we could.
Thank you. All right, thank you for the report. All right, moving on, old business, none pending, new business. Keith, you want to take that?
This is a resolution authorizing the Bureau of Indian Affairs to revise and update the Cherokee Nation's inventory of tribal transportation facilities. I put that in the form of a motion.
All right, we have a motion. Second, all in favor? Any opposed? Gail, this needs to go to full council this evening. All right, announcements. The next meeting,
If everybody's agreeable, we can just go straight into ENF without getting that. But if anybody needs a break, let us know now, so we can give time for it.
I'm fine if y'all want to, anybody need a break?
2 minutes.
2 minutes? 4:30?
Yes, absolutely. Just
Give 5 minutes?
5 minutes.
5 minutes?
5 minutes is good.
All right, next meeting is tentatively scheduled for April 10th at 4 PM. I need a motion to adjourn. All right, thank you.